We already know in the village of Dolton that there's tons of corruption, but just 5 miles away in the city of Harvey, it may be worse. We're going to provide a history of the last mayor of Harvey and the current mayor of Harvey, Christopher Clark. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about Harvey, Illinois itself. Harvey, Illinois has historically faced economic challenges. This city has dealt with high unemployment rates, declining property values, and financial instability. Efforts to revitalize the local economy have included redevelopment projects like the Harvey Lofts, aimed at providing affordable housing and boosting local business activity. However, the effectiveness and transparency of those initiatives have been questioned, and we'll talk about that a little later on. But Harvey has struggled with high crime rates over the years. The city has seen significant levels of violent crime and property crime, which have been a major concern for the residents and local authorities. Law enforcement efforts have been ongoing to address these issues, but crime remains a persistent problem. And we will talk about how terrible this problem is. But it's all about the politics. Political fairness in Harvey has been under scrutiny, particularly regarding the actions and decisions of the local government. Allegations against Mayor Christopher Clark, including conflicts of interest, misuse of authority, and have raised concerns about governance and transparency, and a little bit of slave labor. But don't worry, I will explain all that later on. Before we get into the current mayor, let's talk about the past mayor, Eric J. Kellogg. This dude was off the chain when it came to corruption. The man put up LeBron numbers. He was doing it for a very long time. Eric J. Kellogg served as the mayor of Harvey, Illinois from 2003 to 2019. His tenure was marked by numerous allegations of corruption and mismanagement, which has significantly impacted the city's governance and public trust. Kellogg's administration faced persistent accusations of corruption. One of the major allegations was the misuse of federal funds intended for police investments. An internal audit by the Illinois Associations of Chief of Police in 2011 revealed that the Harvey Police Department, under his leadership, ignored tips and submitted substandard incident reports. This audit highlighted significant lapses in the government's operations, raising questions about the administration's commitment to law enforcement integrity. Basically, it didn't have any integrity. And it gets worse. In 2012, a report by the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division found the Harvey Police Department lacking adequate record keeping, supervisory oversight, and accountability. The report criticized the department for tactically endorsing heavy-handed uses of force, which in many cases were likely avoidable. This highlights systematic issues within the police force that Kellogg's administration failed to address. So you're on your own if you're in Harvey at that point. The cops were hurting you, crime is high, and you had the mayor taking money that's supposed to be help protect the citizens to enrich himself. Further compounding these issues, a 2015 audit by the Cook County Sheriff's Office echoes previous findings and revealed that Kellogg used federal funds for personal use rather than for the intended police investments. The audit showed that only a tenth of investigations led to arrest, with many crimes never assigning to a detective due to widespread problems within the department. This was basically the Wild Wild West. Efforts to bring reform and external oversight to Harvey Police Department were consistently resisted by Kellogg. In 2015, he vetoed a city council approved ordinance that would have allowed Cook County Sheriff's Office to act as an inspector general for the city. This resistance to transparency and reform further eroded public trust, and criminals were able to just do crime, basically. But Mayor Kellogg was out just taking money, and he had his whole family involved as well. Kellogg's family was also implicated in various controversies. Notably, his cousin, Corey Johnson, faced charges related to corruption and criminal activities. These family ties to criminal behavior just further tainted Kellogg's reputation, underscored the extent of corruption within his administration. According to a federal complaint filed in 2019, Kellogg spent years shaking down a strip club owner of thousands of dollars a month in exchange for allowing prostitution in the club. He wasn't charged in the complaint, which referred to him as, quote, individual A, or, quote, the mayor of the city of Harvey. So I guess we all know who that guy was. But his cousin, Corey Johnson, was charged with collecting bribes from that now closed club and delivering the cash to Kellogg's brother, Romel Kellogg, who was also charged in the corruption case. So after Eric Kellogg leaves, you think maybe things will just get a little better. Maybe we'll have a person that's all about integrity, who wants to be the mayor of Harvey, wants to focus just being the mayor and doing the right thing for the people and not trying to enrich himself. Well, you guys already know the answer to this, but let's continue. Let's talk about the current mayor of Harvey, Christopher Clark. As the mayor, Christopher Clark is responsible for overseeing the administration of his city, including implementing policies, managing the city's budget, and addressing local issues such as crime, economic development, and public services. All that extra stuff. But this is where it gets interesting. He also has positions in Calumet City, a different city. Yeah. Kind of reminds you of someone else that we know, right? In Calumet City, he's a FOIA officer, Freedom of Information Act. In this role, he's responsible for managing requests for public records, ensuring compliance with state transparency laws, and facilitating access to government documents. Pretty powerful position. He's also the insurance investigator. This person involves investigating insurance claims, particularly related to city operations or employee benefits, to ensure that claims are legitimate and appropriately managed. Wow, a really strong, powerful position too. And he's also the director of Office of Professional Standards. This role involves overseeing the professional conduct of city employees, managing internal investigations, and ensuring that the city operations adhere to legal and ethical standards. That's a lot of jobs. Clark's simultaneous employment in these roles have drawn criticism and raised questions about his ability to effectively manage the responsibilities and potential conflicts of interest that may arise from holding multiple positions in two different municipal governments. It's mind-blowing how many people have multiple jobs in multiple governments in Illinois. I guess this is how they do things. One of the main criticisms is the potential conflict of interest arising from holding multiple positions in two different governments simultaneously. As both a mayor of Harvey and an officer in Calumet City, questions have been raised about his ability to impartially fulfill the responsibilities of each role without compromising one for the other. Managing multiple high responsibility roles can lead to concerns about how effective are you? How dedicated are you? Being a mayor of a city is important, but also you are the FOIA officer, you're the insurance investigator in Calumet City. We can all argue that holding these positions concurrently might dilute Christopher Clark's focus and effectiveness in both roles, potentially leading to administrative inefficiencies and oversight issues. There are also concerns about transparency and public trust. The fact that Clark did not respond to requests for comments regarding his dual roles in many instances further exacerbates the perception of lack of transparency. Effective communication with the public is important, especially when questions about potential conflict of interest arise. Clark's salary in Calumet City is comparable to similar roles in other towns. The justification for holding multiple paid positions concurrently have been questioned. He made $168,000 over the 3 years working for Calumet City while simultaneously serving as Harvey's mayor. He was appointed by Calumet City's mayor, Thaddeus Jones, as the city FOIA officer, insurance investigator, and director of Office of Professional Standards. We'll be talking about Thaddeus Jones in a later video. One of the problems that many people have with Christopher Clark is business licensing. There have been frustration and confusion among business owners regarding Harvey's business licensing review process. Critics argue that the process is not clear and leaves entrepreneurs feeling that they must play politics with the Clark administration to get their license approved or renewed. This sounds really familiar. This criticism has suggested that Mayor Clark's administration might be using its authority to exert undue influence over local businesses, discouraging new ventures and complicating the operations of existing ones. Now we're going to get into some potential slave labor. The use of prisoners. The use of incarcerated individuals for demolition work without proper permits and in violation of environmental regulations have drawn significant criticism. The city of Harvey, under Mayor Clark's administration, initiated demolition projects on Broadway Avenue without securing the necessary permits. This violation of standard regulatory procedures prompted the Cook County Department of Environmental and Sustainability to intervene. The demolition work was carried out without adequate precautions to handle hazard materials like lead and asbestos. These substances pose serious health risks to the workers in the surrounding community if not properly managed. Prisoners were used to perform demolition work. The use of prison labor, particularly under unsafe conditions without proper oversight, raised tons of ethical and legal concerns. The environment of prisoners monitored by the Cook County Sheriff's Office further complicates the situation. This is just disgusting. The Cook County Department of Environmental Sustainability had to step in order the stop of these activities. Mayor Clark also had problems with transparency. And let's talk about economic development and transparency issues. The Harvey Lofts project, a $22 million affordable housing development, has faced a lot of scrutiny for its approval process, which some residents and critics deem not transparent. The project, while a significant investment in the community, has highlighted the need for clearer communication and better community engagement by the Clark administration. There's a lot of problems here in Harvey, and Christopher Clark seems like he's making a good amount of money and not necessarily doing it in the highest of ethical and legal standards. What do you guys think about this? Do you think this is just a culture that's here in Illinois politics where people are able to do this type of thing? Let me know. Put in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.